Oh, it switched faster than it has been in the past. Oh, look at there. Oh.
Doing stuff all effective and efficient. I'm proud of you, Andrew. I'm proud of you.
Oh, I didn't do shit. Restream might have just kind of like fixed themselves.
Restream was like, oh, hey, did y'all want that?
Did y'all want the transitions to be smooth instead of all jittery and laggy? What in the Sam hell?
In the Sam,
and just like
welcome.
That, YouTube
welcome, everybody. Welcome to this week's Dose of Madness. And boy, oh boy, do we have a potent dosage for you today.
It offends the nostrils.
Quite pungent. Oh, man. Oh, in the Black Tower Podcast, a Wheel of Time podcast. Shocker, I know, right?
We still are. We still are.
Still are.
Still on,
Hasn't changed.
Yeah,
we're still on that wheel. We're still on our Wheel of Time shit.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're still weirdly obsessed with talking about a book series.
It's true.
It's crazy.
A book series that finished over 10 years ago. Like, move on, guys.
Yeah.
Why don't we move on to other fantasy?
Cool. And a TV show that finished for all intents and purposes, like a year or two ago.
Before it began.
Some may say. And one turning, it was a show that never actually began. Oh, the show that was not a show.
The show was not a show. It was not the show, but it was a show.
Took the wind out of a couple people's cells like a stilled wind finder.
Okay, I will. Like a wind finder who's lost. Can't find no wind, can you?
Like a wind finder that can't find no wind. I asked 30 wind finders to help me find the wind, and all I hear is criticize. Don't ask me or the ship mistress for nothing. I'm Andrew. I'm your Bajan Mahal.
Wind loser.
It's like a middle school taunt. Oh, you're a wind finder. I'm more like a wind loser.
Yep.
Oh.
And I'm Josh. Enough said.
Well, that was awkward timing.
Timing was too good. Can't even continue with that.
Yeah, it's too good. What can I do? It's too good.
Too good.
I'm Reese. You're Ethan Mahale. I'm Rubber. Your glue bounces off to me, sticks to you, Mahale.
Wait, you're a rubber? What? I don't think I heard part of that. I don't think I
don't think you did either.
Wouldn't be the first time. Hearing ain't my strong suit.
You know what? I'm excited about tonight's episode. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I like when we do these episodes because they're fun, and you can say things, and people can leave things in the comments and say, well, actually, you're not right because... Well, actually, nobody's right, okay? Because we're having an episode about things that aren't established. So just leave your comments and show everybody how smart you are. Do it.
Drop your theories.
Do it. But before we get into that, we should probably rubber glue people. That doesn't work.
Before we do that, if you want to be able to watch this live and tell us live that we're wrong, go and check out our Patreon, where you can listen to the episode live as it's being recorded. You get the unfiltered, unedited version. You get early access to episodes. Yeah. You get access to exclusive, always entertaining, and super, super insightful pre-recordings. We have some private Discord channels and post-show chats that you can join. And there's some stickers and free merch that we send out most of the time.
Oh, yeah, I need to make sticker designs.
We still need to do some stuff.
Need to do a lot of them.
As this shit's getting expensive.
Yeah, it is.
It's expensive. So go on over to blacktowerpod.com, click the Patreon button, and throw us a couple shillings. A couple shillings.
A copper or two, if you please, sir.
A copper for the tower, my lord. A
Hey,
few pence.
I would like some ale.
You'll have the wine and go to the tree. Oh, but
to
yes,
the tree with thee.
we talk about full spoiler things. We don't want you to be spoiled before you're ready to be spoiled. So to spoil you on being spoiled, here's the spoiler warning from the fantastic registered nerd. Here you go.
This is your Black Tower podcast, Wheel of Time spoiler warning. There are neither beginnings nor endings to spoilers, but this is a beginning. If you continue to listen, you may be cursed with the knowledge yet to come. These curses may include knowledge that you are, in fact, just a farm boy. Drinking 1 glass of wine now leads to mustache pulling and a hell of a hangover. Resigning that you will never be as good with the ladies as your friends are. Realizing Androl is bae, regardless of your gender or sexual orientation. The inability to stop tugging your braid in anger, even if you don't have hair. An understanding that the word taint is simultaneously a noun, adjective, and verb. Discovering you have more titles than actual name. The BDE, also known as Big Dragon Energy, becomes undeniable. Finding yourself promising to read A New Spring and never getting to it. An uncontrollable urge to argue over inconsistent pronunciations. Knowing that hating Gon is a responsibility, not a privilege. Again, there are no beginnings or endings to spoilers, but this is a beginning. You have been warned.
Did you guys know there was a nerd registry?
I mean,
How did they become the registered nerd?
I don't know about them specifically, but I know in certain websites
Yeah, you just yeah.
it is a category.
Certain things of the dark web.
It's not a website the Jedi would show you. OnlySiths.com.
I sent only Siths. I sent out a Valentine's that said, "Roses are red. Your love is a prize. Did you ever hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?" And my dad went, nope. And my brother went, "I thought not. It's not a story a Jedi would tell you." That's my family. There's mine. I present that for my nerd registration. There it is.
That may suffice.
Tonight's episode, we're dealing with everybody's most favoritist topic in the Wheel of Time. We're talking
Hate that.
power level, okay? When the books start, they say the power is fading, right? The Age of Legends was peak. It was S tier. We's up here. And now, generation by generation, we're just slowly collapsing like a flan in a cupboard. But what if it wasn't fading? What if it was being suppressed? What if for 3,000 years, the women of the White Tower were unwittingly culling the ability out of the human race? Now, they do suspect this in the books, and they talk about this in the books. But
Some of the
with all
scholars
that
do.
happening, you still get Rand, you still get Nynaeve, you still get Egwene, you still get lots and lots. You get what was the name of the Damane girl who was Olivia, who was even more powerful than Nynaeve. You still get these bright spots coming through in the pattern in a time at which the power is supposed to be its dimmest, its most faded. Now, the Forsaken return stronger, right? They've got their S tier peak levels of power. So we have a direct step down in an average power level from channelers from the Age of Legends to channelers now. But now we've got a world in which there is no gentling, or not, at least not en masse, right? We got some, I'm sure there's some. But what happens in the Fourth Age? Does the power start rising again? Because now we've got Saidin and Saidar working together again. Now, or is it because we've got channelers getting married to each other? What was it? There was who was the White Aja sister who proposed breeding men who can channel before they gentle them to try and like make the bloodlines to try and get the power to come back stronger? Would that have worked? Would that have been effective?
I mean, it worked for the Aiel.
I mean, it
Sorry,
didn't work for the Aiel.
No, it did.
Blood, strength, and the future of the one power. Because every new beginning starts with some other beginning's end. Dun, 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 dun. I improvised that last line. I wrote it myself. How do you guys like that?
It was wonderful.
You like that?
Especially like the credit
It was.
added for yourself.
Well, I wanted to make
proud of
sure.
you.
I don't want someone else to put it into a song later and be like, "Oh, Josh totally stole those lyrics from us."
How dare they?
No, but so what do you guys think about the premise there? Do you reject my premise, or do you have thoughts about my premise? I would hope that you would have thoughts about the premise because what do you think about that?
I have thoughts. I mean, I think it's pretty simple to think about, pretty much any trait can be kind of enhanced or reduced through breeding. You can bring a trait out more, you can remove it from the population. And so I think it's, why wouldn't the power be any different? I mean, from what we understand of it right now, it seems like it's a good hypothesis. And yeah, we have some evidence of it as well in the books that there's definitely, like, yes, I think there's the few shining people that will come out regardless, that the pattern will spin out as needed. But I think in mass, yeah, I think we would have stronger channelers if there were more channelers about.
All right. Andrew?
Yeah, I mean, forever ago, we talked kind of about this this concept of, is channeling genetic, or is it tied to like the soul, or is it something else or whatever? And we kind of came to this this idea that like there was a bit of a both, that it was tied to the soul and to genetics, and that it was like
Right.
that I forgot exactly what we kind of like settled on or thought, but basically that like one would basically dictate like the soul would dictate whether you could or could not channel,
Yes.
and genetics would kind of be the kind of more deciding factor outside of the creator and the pattern imposing things on you, like the
Right.
role of the dragon. Your genetics would be kind of more so what dictated your strength
Your
in
capacity.
channeling. And I think we actually use this this unintentional culling of the genetic component of channeling as kind of proof for the power, the strength in channeling being tied to genetics more than the soul. Because again, like you said, you have the Forsaken. Did we get to see like a level of power that was unfettered and unchanged by 3,000 years of essentially selective breeding amongst the human populace and amongst the channelers? It was already like channelers were only like already like 1 to 3% of the population, even at the height of like human population in the Age of Legends. Because we know like going into the Third Age, the amount of people that survived is a relative fraction of the Age of Legends populace. So that 1 to 3% is even less now, and of them, like Lanfear and Cimarog and several of the other Forsaken comment on just how dramatically weaker channelers are and how much less they even know how to do much. And like that there was things that were commonplace to do in the Age of Legends that most channelers that exist now don't even have the strength to do. Like traveling is one of those that like traveling was like everybody could do it. Like it was just a thing that you could do for the most part. But amongst like modern channelers, like it's a relatively select number outside of a talent for it that have the strength to pull off the weave to do traveling. So I mean, yeah, I fully agree, or I like the premise of the discussion, and I'm definitely in the camp of it's absolutely been genetically culled from the Randland or the wetlands or westlands, whatever you want to call it, populace. And partially the same with the Shanchan, but and the Aiel, but we get to see what happens when you don't do that, because Sara has a massive amount of channelers that come in at the last battle to be dreadlords under the command of Damodred, because the ruling faction there, the Aiel, exclusively used male channelers as breeding stock, and whenever they finally showed that they were going mad, after they had, pumped out a couple of kids, or I guess pumped in a couple kids on the part of the male channelers. They executed them because they were like, yeah, we need to maintain, like, they understood or assumed, however you want to look at it, they didn't like cull that ability out of the genetic part of the populace.
So okay, so so first of all, you're right. We did kind of establish that, you know, it's based on the soul, right? The soul is a switch, and then the body becomes a capacitor, right? And the soul says, can you channel, yes or no? And either you can or you can't. And then your body, the genetic makeup of your body was, we sort of determined, or we surmise, I suppose, determines how much you can channel, right? Well, do we think did the breaking have something to do with the dramatic fall off? Was that like immediate, like channelers born right after the breaking? Was there a power difference then, or was it a gradual step down? Because you could almost say, I mean, we don't have that information, right? We don't know, was there a gradual step down, or did the backlash happen? All of the men go insane. They're all dealt with, you know, over the next 100 years, and then does the quality? I guess that would suggest that there's more of a net or a weave, if you will, that they are all threads, and sort of the more threads there are, the more strong the fabric is itself. But the fewer threads you have, the weaker the fabric would be. So maybe there's something there to it. I'm going somewhere with this, I promise, because I have a theory that I'm kind of curious to get to.
I wonder if I know what your theory is going to be. I'm curious. I'm going to wait and see because I probably don't. But I mean, it's slightly morbid, but my immediate thought about it is like how many like young kids, young adults, and children survive an apocalypse. I mean, and then
that's literally what it was, right? I mean,
yeah, it was a worldwide cataclysm. I mean, it literally reshaped the surface of the earth.
Yeah, you've essentially got nuclear bombs going off for 100 years. Like,
and I would posit, you know, something like things like, for using that as a power scale, magnitude stronger. Because I mean, the Tsar Bomba like left like a 450 kilometer wide crater, which is absolutely massive. But it was like things of that scale all the time, like mountains being risen, or mountains rising where, or mountain ranges rising where there were once, you know, seas and oceans, and vice versa. So that's a completely different level of terraforming. I mean, that's essentially what was happening. Like they were terraforming segments of the earth. So you have that. So how many how many children are just going to survive that whenever humanity is like, you know, already fighting for survival anyway? And then you add into that how many channelers, like when you see the horrific things that are happening now, like how many people, and you know, I'm going to give people a bit of a trigger warning against like violence against children for this, but how many parents that were channelers Casey Anthony'd their kid that was a male channeler because they saw no other way to protect the world, or didn't want to see that happen to their child.
Literally starts with Luz Theron, who did that. Like, I mean, the whole series starts with an example of that.
Yeah, for a different reason, but like whether they did it intentionally because they were like, I don't want my son to go mad.
I see what you're saying.
As a channeler, or the other way around. It's a horrific thought, but I mean, it happens in our world all the time for far, not that there's ever a good reason, but for far less of a good reason. Like,
yeah, but people can convince themselves is a mercy, you know.
Yeah.
Even just given the situation, like some people, like, yeah, I could see that being a thing. Even just being born at that time, not even knowing whether or not they could channel, it's like that. No.
Yeah. How many people just chose to also just not have children for fear of having a male child that could channel and eventually go insane? So you have a ton of factors that reasonably and rationally would lead to a decline in the male channeling population. And then you mix that with the founding of the White Tower and the establishment of the Red Aja, who had been functioning, you know, the Red Aja, before they were officially Ajas, there were groups of Aes Sedai that were running around doing these things anyway, trying to, you know, suppress the male channelers and, you know, deal with the fuckery that is, you know, the world after the breaking, and during the breaking. I mean, yeah, it doesn't take long for people to absolutely fear male channelers. So, you know, and if you lived if you live to see like the literal like apocalypse, you're probably going to want to do whatever it takes to avoid it, even if that means being like, I'm not having kids, just because there's like a 1% chance.
So once again, I kind of say, are we going to stick with sort of individualism when it comes to measuring strength, or because obviously there's always going to be the outliers, right? There's always going to be the pattern wants the Dragon Reborn, and the Dragon Reborn has to be super amazing at channeling. And then there's always going to be outliers of, there has to be some measure of balance. So we're going to have 3 or 4, that pop up to be extra strong to kind of compensate for the fact that everybody else is. But that would, to me, that would suggest, once again, that it's more of that there's a communal aspect of it. If you've got 4 million healthy, knowledgeable channelers in the world, they're going to be stronger, maybe, according to what I'm kind of positing here. They're going to be stronger than if you have 100,000 channelers who are less educated. And again, I don't mean to say, oh yeah, of course they're going to be so much stronger. No, I mean like a larger group of educated people will have the quantifiable strength increase than a smaller group of less educated people. And we even have kind of examples of this, speaking of which, genetically, where we as a species are running faster than we've ever run before. We're lifting heavier items than we ever have before. And it's not because the human genome is changing. It's because we are unlocking potentials we didn't know existed 100 years ago. So could we make the case that the strength is bigger in the Age of Legends, not just solely based on genetics, but also based on their understanding of how that works? Maybe they've got a deeper understanding and they're able to cultivate that. They're able to sort of, I don't know what the word is there, but they're able to draw that out.
They know the muscle better, so they can exercise it, whereas we don't know the muscle, or the current age doesn't know the muscle in order to exercise it, something like that.
And there's an element of that one person can't do all that, right? There has to be, people learning from people, making mistakes, learning from people in order to increase that. So is the Age of Legends really just that everybody was that much better, or were they just that much more educated? Were they able to draw that out of their own potential because they understood limitations of one? And let's not even get started on the fact that Aes Sedai are bound by the Oath Rod. We know that cuts their life in half. What else does it do? What other effects does it have? Because a lot of Aes Sedai take the oaths before they stop growing in the power. Well, I don't know about that one, maybe. Either way.
I feel like it's common. I feel like that seems pretty common. Like they're not everyone, but a lot of them are still pretty young and still growing. Some people take a while to reach the shawl, but for the most part, I feel like that's accurate. I don't know. Someone will have to let me know in the comments.
There's also
I did open this up with leave your comments.
Yeah. There also has to be like, as some part of this, like a fine distinction made between skill versus strength.
Sure.
So that the two like don't get confused in like how we're discussing it, because you have plenty of like instances where a vastly superiorly skilled channeler will outmatch a overall stronger channeler.
Right.
But then you have the inverse. Brand does it all the time. He's vastly stronger than almost everybody else, but almost anybody else is vastly more skilled. He just has, the power of God and anime on his side, so he can, literally pull shit out of his ass. I mean, it's one of the great things that the show did really well was showing the bullshittery that is Rand al'Thor when he has his Indiana Jones moment with High Lord Turok and just, sorry, I've got dysentery, so I'm just going to shoot you. Yeah.
But I'm going to split my weave into 12 different threads and just execute perfectly aimed shots.
Do something that the only other person we see do is a literal Forsaken.
Guys, that was an accident. He was trying to just like make an illusion of himself to fight.
He was really just trying to like use the power to pull his sword out of the scabbard. He's oh,
I'll have to
No,
remember
negligent
that one.
discharge.
was fear because he didn't know who did that.
He's doing his best, like
it's like you see those videos of dogs that like fart and they scare themselves. That was
Yeah.
Rand in that moment. Oh, what the hell was that?
like better play it cool. Doing his hooded Anakin comes up to the younglings moment. But I mean, but yeah, but there's also like so it seems to be that everybody has a fixed maximum amount of the one power that they can use. And as they, as you guys put earlier, flex that muscle, they get closer and closer to realizing that maximum. And that's kind of like the growth we talk about with the Aes Sedai, as it's them getting closer and closer, or ultimately realizing their full maximum potential. Because some of the Aes Sedai, they're just so well versed in the one power and in sensing, at least in the books, how much one power an Aes Sedai has and how much potential they have, that, you know, Siwan Sanchi and Moraine and Leandrin and several others look at Nynaeve and they're immediately like, you have the potential to be way stronger than, you know, all of us. This is absolutely ludicrous. You just need to, you know, train and get there where you can do it and do it on command. But given that there's so many people that can do it, I mean, if it would seem that there is a component of that kind of like collective muscle flexing, like doing the comparison now to, you know, people lifting heavier weights than has been done like by just raw human power in the past. I mean, obviously you have those folks that like spend their entire lives dedicated to that training, but you know, that's exactly what the Aes Sedai are doing for, you know, decades upon decades, you know, to 200-300 years. So it would stand to reason that as you flex that muscle more, that effort and growth gets passed in your genetics. I mean, haven't we found that like the more like physically fit that parents are, that their genetics have a higher tendency to pass down better like inherent physical fitness to their offspring?
I don't know.
I don't know. Every time you turn around, there's like there's indicators that this may be true. Oh no, we disproved it. But wait, this segment of it might be true. Because at one point, I know there was a thought that like they may have found that like some memories may get passed down via DNA, and that might explain why like we have some certain like feel like we have certain memories or different things. I
feel like I heard something about that, where there are like different experiences and memories that do like pass down, where it's like, oh, if this happens, they'll be skeptical for like 2 generations, or if this happens, they'll be trusting for 2 generations, and things like that, where it's like that.
Yeah,
it's the
limited research indicates that certain argument, right? Limited research indicates that certain limited memories, specifically fears, traumatic experiences, and environmental information, can be passed down through generations via epigenetics, a process that alters how genes are expressed rather than changing the DNA sequence itself, aka genetic memory.
So if that's a factor here, then we could be seeing that sort of influence in both the rise and decline, right? Because at the Age of Legends, you've got universities, you've got people learning things, and so you've got people becoming inherently more comfortable with, you know, knowledge and learning and understanding. And what do we know about the current age in the books? Aes Sedai fear the Saidar, right? They don't want to push past what they think they can do. Egwene goes on this whole journey where she talks about forcing her potential, which is something the Aes Sedai don't do. It's very dangerous. You can't do that. You'll get burned out. But Egwene's like, no, I'm going to do this. I got to learn. I've got to do. And that is actually kind of one thing that they did, you know, kind of well in the show, is they showed, you know, how ambitious Egwene was, and how she was she was not about to listen to nobody. So there's an interesting correlation there, I guess.
So are you suggesting that the actual level of power that can be used isn't actually any different? It's just nobody is pushing for that level, so they can't reach it, and that like not Rand, but Egwene and Nynaeve, and then they're not really the exception that they are is just that they've pushed hard enough to reach that level compared to like other people that like the current Aes Sedai that aren't trying to push that far.
I would suggest, well, where I'm going with this, because I am, like I said, I am going somewhere with this, because specific to Nynaeve, Egwene, and Rand, right? Those are, I think we can all kind of agree, those are outliers, right? The pattern said, I need you to do this. And in order to do this, I need you to be super strong in the one power. So I'm going to give you a natural, whatever. But so here's where I'm going with this, because at some point in time, the world has to forget about channeling, right? We have to lose channeling at some point in time. Now there's 7 ages. We live in the first age right now, right? No channeling. We're regular people. We do regular jobs. We do regular things. If the Wheel of Time is a true history, a true retelling account of humanity, which come on, at any given time there should be a cataclysm, which would be the discovery of channeling, and that will end the first age and bring us into the second age, which will be an age that is peppered with war and all kinds of nastiness until something happens to bring in the third age. And I can't remember what the cataclysm is to bring in the third. Or no, it's the second age is what is the Age of Legends. And then the cataclysm that brings in the third age is the Breaking, where they attack Shale Ghul and the Dark One taints the male half of the power. And then we go into the third age, which is the end of the third age is where our story begins. So is it the fourth age, the fifth age, the sixth age? In which age do we lose channeling, and how does that come about? Because we're no longer culling it out of humanity. I mean, maybe something else happens to where we start culling it out of humanity, but we're no longer, preventing people who can channel from living normal lives. And my guess is that the Oath Rod is going to go away as well, right? I don't think the Aes Sedai, upon learning the the long-term effects, I think you're going to have a whole generation of younger Aes Sedai that are going to want to get away with it, that are going to want to do away with it.
That's fair.
Not fucking Egwene.
I want to briefly go back to the the idea that it's almost like the trauma, the generational trauma that goes down. Because I was just thinking, these outliers, Rand, Nynaeve, Egwene, not all of them, but I feel like a lot of them are from areas where there's not as much of a strong sense against channeling anymore. Like in the Two Rivers, like it's like, oh, Aes Sedai, but it's not like, oh my gosh, those Aes Sedai, like really vehemently against them, and like in other parts. And so it's almost like, oh, like that trauma has kind of like gone away, where it's not like, oh, they're gonna hunt us if we can channel. Like that's no longer there. That idea isn't there. Although I guess in that area it probably wouldn't have been anyways. But I mean, the trauma of Manetheren would still be there, I guess. But I don't know that would really keep channeling from resurfacing.
Like, I would agree that Rand would be an outlier because he gets assigned the dragon moniker by the pattern. Which I know Josh and I forever ago talked about in an episode. And I forgot exactly how we found out, but like, I think it was through a combination of interviews with like Robert Jordan and Brandon Sanderson and Team Jordan or Team Dragon, Team Jordan, whatever. That like the dragon isn't always the same soul. It's not like Rand just happens this time to be the reincarnation of Lews Therin, but the dragon isn't always this soul. The pattern can put the moniker of dragon on any soul that is, suits its purpose at the time, and that moniker is going to bring like benefits with it. And I think one of those benefits is like this absurd level of inherent channeling strength, because it's a unique moniker. I think the same would happen for a female soul that gets the moniker of a Marasu, and the same kind of thing. With that though, I wouldn't think that Egwene and Nynaeve are the same type of outlier. I think they're outliers in how much they've pushed themselves to be able to handle as much of the power as they can, but I think that's more about like their character, and that, where they're from doesn't have as much of like a fear and taboo kind of on channeling as the rest of the world, because really they just don't know that much about it. They really haven't, other than Moraine, they really haven't seen it, and the only stuff they've really seen or their first impressions of it are generally positive because it's used as a force to like protect them and save their lives and save the lives of their friends as much as possible. And Nynaeve is just too headstrong to, you know, ever let something like possible limits weigh her down. And kind of Egwene,
Except
like
for-
her and Egwene
except for
are kind
anger.
of the same. Yeah, yeah. I mean, she can use as much of it as she wants if she's pissed off enough to actually do it. She just doesn't want to admit that she needs to use it.
I will say that's one thing that I'm legitimately mad at the TV show about, because I actually really liked their sort of reinterpretation of Nynaeve's block. That it wasn't really. I mean, I say this like, you know, with a grain of salt, but I liked that they kind of made it more of a, she was afraid, and everybody made such a big deal about, oh, you're the most powerful channeler we've ever seen, and it freaked her out, right? She had anxiety. She had very strong opinions about who should have that much power. And when she was presented with it, it really messed her up. She was like afraid of wielding that much power. And it was only through her anger / possible desperation that she was able to sort of get through that. And I really liked that, but I feel like they glossed over it so much that it just made her look like ineffectual, like, oh, I can't do anything right. And then they capitalized on that with the whole arrow in the leg situation, which a village healer would have been totally in her element to handle that. But, you know.
I used to be a wisdom like you till I
Not
took an arrow
naive.
to the calf.
Right. So,
And
okay,
they
so
tried to kind of, I think they tried to tie some of that block to that event, like the trauma of feeling that is almost like the backlash of like having that control over someone and feeling that like, oh, I do have this power and I can feel it both in myself and reflected back at me through her, and then having it just like snapped off in front of you and just be like, yep, that's what that power can do. That's how quickly it can snuff out a life. And I think that's they try to tie that into her block a bit to make it easier for the audience maybe to understand.
But again, they failed. Massive failure. But so we do actually have a couple of situations in which the ability to channel or the capacity to channel is physically limited, right? We do hit that barrier.
It's been Josh hit a barrier.
The barrier's been hit.
Yeah.
There it is. I hit a barrier. That was an example. I physically could not continue.
Did you like slap a key on your keyboard or something?
No, I don't know what happened. My computer was like, nah, fam, we're done.
Left gesture control turned on.
I guess.
The camera was like, oh, okay, end call. All right.
It really was. My application's over here, and it was like, do you want to close? No. Kind of using this right now.
Oh, shit. I was joking, but all right.
Yeah, no, I don't know what happened there. Anyway, so one of them is a block, right? If you have a block as an Aes Sedai, you have to learn how to overcome that block. Now, that is not a limiting block, as in I can only channel X amount. That's a limiter that says I can either channel or I can't. If I cannot get around that block, or if I cannot break that block, I cannot channel. And the only other solid example we have of someone's ability to channel being cut in half or significantly reduced is in the case of stilling and gentling, specifically with the healing, right? Because obviously stilling and gentling removes the ability entirely. But if a man is stilled and then healed by another man, his ability to channel will be significantly reduced. If he was then healed by a woman, say with Logain and Nynaeve, then his ability is fully restored. And the same is true, right? Vice versa. With a woman who is stilled, if she's healed by another woman, her ability to channel is decreased, versus if she was healed by a man, then her ability would be fully restored. So I would suggest that doesn't factor into our previous premise, because that is specifically a situation in which the limiter is being tampered with in an unnatural sort of way. Does that make sense for you guys? Would you also say that?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Yes, I believe I understand what you're saying.
I think it largely sounds right to me. I mean, it's really dependent on what you mean by our previous premise.
Well, the previous premise that there is an upper limitation, but the idea that the people in the third age are weaker is not because humanity as a whole is weaker. It's that humanity as a whole is less knowledgeable and less able to draw that potential out like the people in the Age of Legends were. So anybody from the third
Oh no,
age
that's your
alive
premise.
in the Age of
I don't
Legends,
agree with that.
you don't agree with that. Oh, okay.
I don't agree with that premise. I think that they are inherently weaker. So I think the genetic component has a lot more to do with it.
Okay.
And it being called out has led to an overall weakness. Just like um, in like evolutionary biology, as a species like needs a feature less and less. You see the species like have like either a smaller version of that feature, or some parts of the species when it gets to a certain point start to not have that feature while some still do, and that kind of stuff. So I think it's in the same vein for the channelers in the third age, because I mean it's a really fast time for that kind of evolutionary trait to happen, but it's also like in the grand scheme of human history, at the point that we're in the third age, it is a very recent discovery in human history of having the muscle to flex to use magic, essentially.
Right.
And very soon in the cosmic space time of things, after having that muscle discovered, you're weaning out half of the people that can use that contribute genetic material to creating the genetic component of
Right.
that's required for channeling.
But
So
therein,
there
lies
might
the
only
question.
be 1% of people born now that have the genetic capacity to channel, but you still have 3% that are born with souls that have the capacity to channel, but the genetic component has been removed.
Right. Yeah, and if you're if you're one of those unlucky souls to be inhabiting a body that can't channel, like that would be annoying. But the
Well,
but
you
so
never know.
but that's what I'm saying is to go along with my premise though, we now have going into the fourth age, we now have the one power available to all. There is no culling, there is no limitation, right? Because now we've got boundaries being challenged. We've got people learning. We've got a couple of surviving Forsaken as well that are going to be, whether they like it or not, going to be passing along knowledge. So we now have to go, what causes the decline of the channeling? What causes the end of channeling? Is it an abrupt, everybody in the world who can channel dies because of cosmic radiation? Is it another breaking of some kind where all the channelers die and then they put something in the genetically modified corn syrup to breed out the channeling gene? Like what's happening there? How do we go from into an era in which we're open, everybody who can do magic now, to nobody can do magic at all, and we go thousands of years before we learn how to do it again?
Or does that happen? Is it still there and we just don't know
Well,
it?
it's still there, right? We
It's
just
just
forget how to, or yeah, I mean that's
not
another
an
great point. Does it go away?
It's
Does
just
the
they're
ability to
just
channel just
so
go away?
like minute that we don't notice it, we don't care until it starts to it's almost like an itch. Like you don't know that it's an itch until it starts really, really itching. So like once it starts to be stronger, it starts to grow more, then it's like, oh, I gotta get that. Where it's like, if it's not very, if you get a light sunburn, you don't really know it. You just have like the little bit of red, you can get through it. But if you get a big sunburn, you're gonna peel, you're gonna hurt, you're gonna scratch that itch. So I feel like that's kind of with the power. It can be like a little bit of both. But I think if there's enough of the power there, you kind of have to scratch the itch. If there's not enough there that it would go unnoticed, I have to assume the level has dropped so that it's not going to be an issue.
I mean, I don't know what causes like the ultimate decline back into nobody uses. It's like what resets into the magic doesn't exist age. But I mean, I feel like we have adequate knowledge in the second age and the third age to tell us that genetically culling, or that selectively like removing a portion of your channeling genetic material from the gene pool, has an adverse and destructive effect on the overall ability of your generic populace to channel, because it's only in the Westlands that even the Aes Sedai, because it's not just like, oh, there's like barely any male channelers. They're like, you know, oh, in the early days of the tower, we would find, you know, hundreds of women that could channel. And now we're lucky if we find a couple dozen in a year, or if we even find a dozen in a year. That's why, like, Amon's Field is such a treasure trove, because they find, like, what, like 25 to 30 girls that can channel. And they're like, oh shit, this is incredible. This is a gold mine. It's like finding a cache of Terangrial. And then at the same time, whenever we get to the last battle, we see the results of what the Sarans have done with the Ayad, who have done the exact opposite, and they have forcibly maintained male channelers as a part of their genetic pool for breeding, seemingly with the express intent to make sure, and also with the guidance and interference of Ishi, and then now under Damodred, with the express purpose of not only maintaining channeler numbers but channeler strength. Because when they show up, it's not like they just show up and they're like, oh, it's like they brought like, you know, like 50 wise ones with them. They're like, okay, they brought a fuck ton of channelers, and they're strong as shit, and they've got like the strongest guy after Rand and Moradin with them. Like it's an absolute shit fest that happened. So for the time span of the story that we're reading, I think there's more than enough, or a fair amount of evidence to indicate that like there is like a genetic component to it, that you can severely degrade the strength and clearly numbers of your channelers by, you know, killing half of them, or gentling them and saying like, oh no, he did it to himself. Like, okay, tomato, potato. Like,
you should have thought about that before you decided to learn how to channel.
You should have thought about that before you decided to be born as a male that can channel. How dare you?
Dare you?
You make it filthy.
You make it filthy.
But as for like the ultimate thing, like I don't know, because yet there has to come a point where, because right now anybody that's born with both the soul and genetics that can channel,
right,
will channel. Like that's taught as like an imperative. To what degree that'll happen, we don't know. The severity of channeling sickness, we don't know. It's implied that it can be so severe that it can be deadly, and that's why it's so important to be found and taught and guided through it. But what resets us all the way back to like our age now, where it's like, oh yeah, David Blaine is a funny guy who thinks he can do magic. Turns out like he can channel as much as like Moraine without like her Angreal at the end of the books.
We used to have Rand and Logain. Now we have Chris Angel and David Blaine.
Yeah. What was that old TV show that was like on VHS where it was like the masked dude that would do all the magic tricks and then show you how he did them all?
Magic's Greatest Secret.
Yeah. It was a great show.
We used to watch that. What?
Watch me shove these needles in my thumb. Just kidding. It's a carrot under a handkerchief.
Ah.
I'm like, not if you keep shoving.
Here's how I disappear a whole tank.
He always had like the green mask that made me think of like the untransformed mask from The Mask.
Love it.
Yeah. But as for the ultimate like disappearance of channeling, I don't know. Like again, I think like the fourth age ends in like nuclear war and like resets everybody to the Stone Age, and
so another breaking.
Yeah. Except like actually somehow like it's more like unseen damage to the earth, less physical damage to the earth. Well, I don't know. It depends on like how much and all that kind of stuff.
Farming, and our vibes are just off.
This is what happens when you don't Mog and Mew enough. How many missiles do you want to launch, Mr. President? 6, 7.
President Camacho coming out.
He's gonna fix the crops. Not
got
sure is going to fix
Brondo.
everything.
It's got electrolytes. It's got what plants crave.
That's what happens. We stop drinking electrolytes, and so we lose the ability to channel.
There it is. There it is. You heard it here first, guys.
It's got what channelers crave. It's got electrolytes.
I ain't never seen no channelers
You mean
in no
from
toilet.
the toilet?
No, I like that. I gotta say, I do think that, just as we've kind of talked about it, I do have to say, I feel like there has to be some sort of an environmental factor that removes channeling, right? The easy answer is just to say the wheel weaves as the wheel wills, and the wheel decided no more channeling, right? But as far as how we get there, that's interesting.
What if it's the White Cloaks? What if they lead a holy crusade to cleanse a weakened world that is now devoid of its savior, of all of these unholy channelers?
They could also,
because I could see Gallant sitting there being like, you know what actually led to all this being a problem in the first place? You channelers meddling around with shit that you don't understand, and you're doing it again. Because are the White Cloaks party to the Dragon's Peace?
I
don't think
they
Gallant's
as
there
an
to sign
organization
shit.
are not specifically.
Yeah.
No, they're not specifically mentioned, but they do.
And even
talk
if they were,
about,
how many White Cloaks do you know actually keep their word?
don't they set up shop in a different country though?
I think they still just maintain control over Almadesia?
They basically just no, because the Shanchan has Amadesia.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, they locked those.
Do they go
borders.
to Maine with Barrelon? Or not Barrelon, Barrelane?
Barrelane.
Do they follow like
Oh,
the
maybe.
Jogs of Maine?
Maybe.
Mm-hmm. Now, see, I have a theory on channeling in that it doesn't actually go away. It's just like these little like sixth sense things that happen where it's like, oh, I need to call so and so, and then they call. Or I was just about to play this song and it comes on the radio, and just these little like quirks. These are just like misunderstandings of the one power.
Like the movie Sixth Sense, he doesn't really see ghosts, he just has glimpses into like Teleron Riyadh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a dreamer.
Bruce Willis isn't actually a ghost, he's a hero with a horn just walking around being like, how can I help you, little bro?
He's
I'm breaking all the rules. I shouldn't be talking with anybody.
Wait, what's his name? He's Asmodean.
I feel like that would be Patrick Swayze in Ghost.
Messing with people, just like what?
But once again, that would fall down to the attrition or loss of knowledge, right?
Mm-hmm. Well,
So
I
basically,
mean, but again, I think if you had enough skill, people would be exploring like telekinesis and telekinetic thought, things like that. Those type of psychic abilities would be much more mainstream.
What all the remote viewers are.
If the power was.
Goddamn remote viewers.
But like,
I mean,
if the power was bigger,
probably. As your genetic pool grows, like those individual genes would dilute down. So I think that would be like kind of counter to like one of the points you made earlier, that like the more people you have, then the more diluted the gene pool of channeling would be. So the weaker it would be. So like at the point that you hit like a world with like 7 billion people, like the same channeling strength genes that you would have in the third age or second age are so diluted to the point that it's like, barely noticeable in strength maybe, when it's so diluted down across a populace of like 7 to 8 billion or more people.
Well, that's kind of an interesting thing too, though, because you do have plenty of societies in which it exists, but not as it does for the Aes Sedai, and Nynaeve is a great example of that. She listens to the wind, and she has intuitions, and she had. So maybe that's it. Maybe
keep in mind, like how
still
close the
death
two
of
rivers gene
institution.
pool remains.
Yeah.
Because they marry like across the villages and stuff, but generally in the same area. They're a little bit of a closed off, and look at how many channelers and how strong their channelers wind up being outside of like Rand.
So we could almost say too, it leads to sort of like the death of institution as well, right? Because once again, if we don't have a solid group of people learning from each other, and if we don't have a larger size of that group of people learning from each other, we're not going to learn nearly as quickly. And if we don't have enough of that, or even if we've got 20 people somewhere in the world, I mean, okay, perfect example is CERN, the Large Hadron Collider in Europe, right?
I mean, that son of a bitch responsible for the Harambe dying timeline? That son of a bitch. They should have never fired up that particle cannon.
there's several thousand people over there working. We're not directly benefiting from that. It takes time for those things to disseminate out into the world for us to read an article and go, oh, that's interesting. But if the internet went away tomorrow, they could continue their work. It wouldn't go nearly as quickly, but they could continue their work, and we would never know what they did ever until someone wrote down their findings on a piece of paper and mailed it to someone else who wrote down on another piece of paper who mailed it to someone else who, you know what I mean?
Chain
Like,
mail.
so, and we do have a situation in Randland where that's very true. They don't have electronics. They don't have the internet. They barely have a system of mail. Like,
Their mail is just word of mouth from like traveling
basically,
merchants. And
yeah.
after the last one that the Two Rivers had, like, do you think they're going to trust the next one?
Exactly.
Not like.
Oh, I like it. There's so many factors that go into this. I love it. I think it's fun. It makes me
Oliver
happy.
starts the Pony Express in the Fourth Age using gateways and horses.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's what starts people not really liking it because they're like, oh, you know, it's great to get this letter from my aunt, but why is the delivery boy always just...
He just upsets my dog every time he comes. My dog just starts barking.
I'm telling you, I can't tell if he's sitting right side up or upside down in the saddle. I don't know.
Oh, ugly. Ugly little kid. Oh.
I hate to watch him coming, but I love to watch him leave.
Oh. Well, what else
Lace
we got?
Express.
It looks like we got all of
I
it.
think that's pretty much the vast majority of it.
We done doodly did it. What do you guys think?
I do think you're going to see like a surge of channeling power in the Fourth Age for sure.
Oh, for sure.
Because you're gonna see like the reintroduction of like well, you're not going to have a divided gene pool anymore. You're not going to have a culling of part of your gene pool. You're probably going to have a reintroduction or a surge into the gene pool because I doubt everybody from Sara is just going to go back. And the Aiel aren't sending their folks off to die and become dreadlords anymore. The Sean Chan are still going to kind of be up to their fuckery to a degree, but they're going to have all that going on. Rand's doing his best work for it. You know, he's already, before, you know, his whole event, he already was, you know, put out like what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 5 or 6 new channeler babies that are going to be stupid strong. Like, I think in one of Avienda's visions, like all of them are just perpetually holding the one power.
They made them little channeler babies?
Man was squirting out super channeler babies. You're not dealing with your average ordinary channeler.
Boom, Dreadlord. Boom, Dreadlord. Boom, Dreadlord.
Bruh. Is it the Don Cheadle fucking Captain Planet?
I'll turn you into a tree, motherfucker. Dude, that shit's so funny.
It's so good.
Oh, I love it.
It's enough. Stop littering. Think again before you call me, motherfucker. But yeah, I mean, you're gonna have like the sharing of knowledge. You're gonna have cooperation to some extent growing over time between the Black and White Towers. You're gonna have so many of the world leaders that are channelers. You're gonna have the world getting comfortable with male channelers again, probably just in time for us to fuck it up again. Like,
as is tradition.
Just in time.
Except this time we'll probably fuck it up together with our female counterparts.
Woohoo!
Hey, it's a party.
And we will all go down together.
What do you guys think about what influences power levels? Is it Goku and Vegeta? They just work really hard at it? Or is it just inherent? Is it your body says you can channel X and there's nothing you can do about that? There's nothing you can say about that. Are those things influenced by environmental factors? What is it? What do you think? You, as an expert on all things Wheel of Time, what is it? What's going on?
And we
Here.
didn't mean you.
No,
And
absolutely not.
You.
Yes.
Sorry. Just to
Thank
clarify.
you I appreciate you.
Yeah, you're
specifying.
welcome. Yeah.
Final thoughts, Reese. What do you think about this?
Give us the Reese's Pieces.
The Reese's Priest.
The Reese's Priestess.
Reese's Priest.
Reese's Preaches.
Reese's.
You might have heard of Judas Priestess. Wait, it's just Judas Priest, isn't it? Never mind.
Yeah, it is. But there's plural, so it could be Judas Priestess. I don't know.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, I think as we have more channelers and as the trait is more available and more desirable, the skill is going to increase, as is tradition. I think, having the ability there plus the
Bag baby.
desire to have more of the ability, that's seen as a positive now, whereas in the past it has not been, or has not, not been attainable. So yeah, I think it's pretty logical to think that we'll be stronger channelers in the fourth age.
I think it's really cool that in the first age we get to witness a Mahal's guest get a Mahal to talk over one of his co-hosts while they watch porn on the big screen TV behind them. For you audio listeners, that's definitely what's happening.
That's not what happened.
It's just straight up hardcore, just unadulterated. Like, I'm gonna have to blur his whole screen for the YouTube.
Those tentacles.
Yeah.
That's
Multiple different shades though. They look pretty realistic. Pretty sure they had to pay that octopus double. Is that the same octopus from the boys? Pretty sure it is. Never look at Aquaman the same way. Redefining deep.
Shut up,
He
both
got
of
up
you.
and changed it to a galaxy.
It was a galaxy. I don't know why it changed.
What would be absolutely hilarious is like if one of your kids had like come in and like changed it to like Food Wars or something like that, so it was like horrendously inappropriate anyway.
Get on it.
Oh man. Turn on Food Wars on the
There's gotta be
PlayStation, Dad.
there's another remote.
I want to learn how to
I'm sure
cook.
there's another remote.
My final thoughts is you're all wrong and I'm right.
That's
I don't
the
even know
same
what I'm right about.
thing that Ishmael said in Landfear when she was mirroring.
And we saw what happened to him. He got what he wanted in the end.
I mean, yeah.
So really, he's the winner.
What are you gonna do when you survive the last battle, Landfear? We'll sit
So
back,
real silly.
watch the sun rise on a grateful universe. Then I'm gonna find Luz Theron and fuck him. Sorry, new
thanks so
dick,
much
who
for tuning
dis?
in. Thanks so much for being here. Thanks so much for listening and or watching. Thanks for being a Patreon and jumping in our Discord. Thanks for jumping in our Discord and not being a bot. Oh, but if you are a bot, bring it. I got a ban hammer for days and I love it. It's great. I love banning bot accounts.
He spanks it
and,
for like 3 hours after he bans a bot account.
A new
Can't confirm. I
perk
get the
of-
Snapchats.
Well, I mean, those Snapchats might not be a Patreon perk. However, choosing what Josh watches during the next video is a perk. Let us know what you'd like to see.
The whole video gets copyright clean because he's watching like smut on the screen.
I've been Reese, your Ethan Mahale.
Is that fucking high school DxD back there on the screen? What's going on? Boost.
I'm just getting roasted by my kid over here. You know, we can end this anytime.
We can keep
Any-
it
Anytime.
we could.
We can keep it going. We've got so many people we'd like to thank tonight.
Hey man, don't get mad at me. You're the one that didn't pull out.
Oh, good night,
I just made
everybody.
myself lightheaded.
You've been waiting for this moment, for this feeling to grow. In the shadows, always watching, always running the show.